It was just a normal Tuesday dinner at Evelyn's, my mother-in-law, when my little hum suddenly turned into a full-on song about, of all things, mashed potatoes. But then she scoffed, right there, "Oh, Brenna, darling, not everyone's meant for the stage." Then bragged about Chloe's big competition coming up, one that Evelyn herself was sponsoring, and I went quiet, a feeling of cold dread seeping right into me, because now something huge was about to change. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'd love to know. I remember that Tuesday like it was yesterday, even though it's been months now. The smell of Evelyn's famous pot roast usually made me feel all warm and cozy, like family, but that night, it just made my stomach clench. Her house, always so neat, almost like a museum, felt even more so. Every cushion plumped, every picture frame perfectly straight. My husband, Leo, sat beside me, distracted, probably thinking about the football game later. He's good, Leo, truly. A kind man, always tries to see the best in everyone, even his mom. But sometimes, he just doesn't see the little things, the tiny jabs that can really sting. I was humming a tune, just a little thing I made up in my head about how yummy the mashed potatoes looked, full of butter and chives. It was silly, yes, but it made me smile. I love to sing, always have. Since I was a tiny girl, I'd sing anywhere, in the shower, doing dishes, driving to work. It was my secret joy, a part of me that felt truly mine. I wasn't some professional, not even close, but the joy of it, that was real. "Oh, Brenna, darling," Evelyn cut through my quiet hum, her voice sweet but sharp, like sugar-coated razor blades. She wasn't looking at me, just dabbing her lips with a linen napkin. "Still singing your little ditties, are we? So quaint." I felt my cheeks get warm. "Just enjoying the potatoes, Evelyn." "They're delicious," I said, trying to sound breezy. Leo just gave me a quick, distracted smile, already reaching for more gravy. He hadn't even noticed the barb. "Well, some of us are meant for a more discerning audience," Evelyn continued, her gaze finally landing on me, a faint, almost pitying look in her eyes. "My Chloe, for instance. She's really gearing up for the Golden Voice Showcase this year. The big competition." I knew it. Everyone in our small town knew about the Golden Voice Showcase. It was a huge deal, with a massive cash prize, $100,000, if I remembered right, and a recording contract. It was the kind of dream competition that people talked about for months. And Chloe. Chloe was Evelyn's niece, a distant cousin of Leo's, a girl about 10 years younger than me, who had been trained in classical singing since she was practically in diapers. Her voice was beautiful, technically flawless. But sometimes, when she sang, it felt like she was just reading notes, not feeling them. Still, she was the family's golden child, especially for Evelyn. "Oh yes, Chloe's talent is just wonderful," I said, forcing a smile that felt tight on my face. "I'm sure she'll do brilliantly." "She will," Evelyn said, her chest puffing out just a bit. "And I'm making sure of it. I've funded her private coaching, the best vocal trainer in the state, actually. And new performance outfits, of course. Everything she needs to succeed. It's a significant investment, but talent like hers, Brenna, well, it deserves to be nurtured. Unlike lesser aspirations." She gave a little dismissive wave of her hand, as if shooing away a fly. The words hung in the air, heavy and stinging. Lesser aspirations. She hadn't said my singing directly, but the meaning was clear. My simple joy, my love for a melody, was a lesser aspiration compared to Chloe's meticulously groomed talent. It felt like a punch, not to my gut, but right to my heart. Leo, finally looking up, seemed to catch a flicker of my hurt. "Mom, Brenna has a lovely voice," he said, frowning a little. He was trying to defend me, bless him. Evelyn just waved him off, a light, airy laugh escaping her lips. "Oh, Leo, you're sweet to say so. But there's a difference between lovely for a sing-along and talent that wins serious competitions, wouldn't you agree?" She didn't wait for an answer, just started talking about Chloe's latest lesson, her progress, the sacrifices. I picked at my pot roast, the delicious aroma now making me feel a bit sick. My throat felt tight, a lump forming right behind my Adam's apple. I just couldn't swallow. All through dessert, while Evelyn went on and on about Chloe's perfect pitch and stage presence, I stayed quiet. Leo tried to engage me. "You all right, honey? You're very quiet." I just murmured something about being tired. Later, in the car on the way home, Leo reached over and squeezed my hand. "Mom didn't mean anything by it, you know," he said softly, sensing my mood. "She just gets a bit enthusiastic about Chloe." I pulled my hand away, maybe a little too quickly. "Enthusiastic?" "Leo, she practically said my singing was a joke." No, she didn't," he insisted, though he sounded a bit unsure. "She just has high standards for the competition. It's a lot of money, a lot of pressure. It's always about the money or the prestige with her, isn't it?" I snapped, then immediately regretted my tone. It wasn't fair to Leo. He was trying to help. I just love to sing, Leo. It makes me happy." And she just stomped all over it. He sighed. "I know, Brenna. I'm sorry. Maybe next time, just don't sing at dinner, okay? Just for peace." That stung even more. Not sing? My own husband, asking me to stifle something I loved, just to keep his mother happy? It wasn't his fault, not really. He was trying to mediate. But it felt like a betrayal. The humiliation I'd felt at Evelyn's table twisted into something else now, something cold and hard. It was like she hadn't just mocked my singing, she'd mocked me, my very soul. We drove the rest of the way in silence, the quiet filled with my simmering resentment and a new, startling idea taking root in my mind. An idea that felt both completely insane and utterly necessary. When we got home, Leo went to put on the game. I went straight to my laptop, a nervous flutter in my stomach. I opened a new browser window and typed in Golden Voice Showcase, application. I read the rules, the dates, the requirements. An audition video, a bio, a non-refundable entry fee. It all felt so big, so scary. But beneath the fear, a little spark, tiny but fierce, began to glow. What if? What if I showed Evelyn that lesser aspirations could still lead somewhere? Not for the money, not for the fame, but for me. For the quiet, humming girl who loved to sing. I took a deep breath, the decision solidifying in my chest. I would enter. And I wouldn't tell a soul. The next few weeks were a blur of secret meetings and whispered phone calls. It felt like I was leading a double life. By day, I was Brenna, office manager at the local bookstore, wife to Leo, daughter-in-law to Evelyn, always polite, always present. By night, I became a hopeful contestant, practicing scales, refining my song choices, feeling the thrilling pulse of a dream long buried. The first step was finding a coach. I couldn't just walk into a fancy studio like Chloe. No, I had to be smart. I found an old ad online for Betty's Vocal Workshop, a small, slightly dusty studio above a dry cleaner's on the other side of town. Betty, a woman with a no-nonsense bun and a surprisingly booming laugh, was a former jazz singer. She wasn't about glamour, she was about heart. "So, you want to sing, huh?" Betty had squinted at me during our first session, her eyes sharp. "What kind of singer are you, Brenna?" I'd hesitated. I just love music, Betty. I sing mostly folk, a little pop. Stuff that tells a story." She nodded slowly, then had me sing a simple scale. After that, a verse from a folk song. When I finished, she just sat there, quiet. My heart was thumping. Did she think I was terrible? "You've got a voice," she finally said, her tone gruff. "Not a perfect voice, mind you. You got some bad habits, some places where you hold back. But you got soul. That's worth more than perfect pitch, sometimes." Why now? Why this competition? I couldn't tell her about Evelyn. I just couldn't. It felt too childish, too much like I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I just always wanted to, I mumbled, looking at my hands. Life got in the way, you know? Now feels like the right time. A chance to see if I've got it. Betty just grunted, but a small smile played at the corner of her lips. "All right, Brenna. Let's see if you've got it. But we work hard, you hear? No half measures here. This isn't just for kicks. This is for something real. You ready?" "Yes, Betty," I said, a wave of excitement washing over me. "I'm ready." Our sessions became my sanctuary. 2 evenings a week. I'd tell Leo the first was going to a book club or a late yoga class. He never questioned it, just wished me a good time. Evelyn, of course, was too preoccupied with Chloe's progress to even notice my new hobbies. Every family dinner was a detailed update on Chloe's latest vocal triumph or her impressive new stage presence. Chloe's got the preliminary video audition in 2 weeks, Evelyn announced one Sunday, sipping her tea. Her coach, Mr. Dubois, says it's flawless. Absolutely flawless. He thinks she's a shoo-in for the live rounds. I felt a jolt. 2 weeks? My own deadline for the video audition was also in 2 weeks. I'd been so focused on my lessons with Betty, I hadn't realized how close it was. That's wonderful, Evelyn, I managed, trying to keep my voice even. I'm sure she'll shine. Oh, she will, Evelyn said, a triumphant gleam in her eyes. She always does. Some people just have that natural star quality, Brenna. You can't teach it. I went home that night and practiced until my throat ached. Betty had taught me a lot about breathing, about really feeling the words, not just singing them. For my audition video, I chose a song by a lesser-known folk artist, a story about finding your own voice against the odds. It wasn't flashy, but it was honest. I recorded it on my phone, propped up on a stack of books in our spare room, late one night after Leo was asleep. It felt vulnerable, putting myself out there like that. But also exhilarating. I hit send on the application form with a nervous flutter. The wait for the first round results was agonizing. Every day, Evelyn would talk about Chloe and how she was definitely through, already planning outfits for the live show. I just had to smile and pretend to agree. Then, one Tuesday, an email popped up. Congratulations, Brenna. You've been selected for the live audition round of the Golden Voice Showcase. My breath caught. I'd done it. A tiny, silent scream of joy escaped me. I couldn't tell anyone, though. Not yet. The live auditions were held at a small theater downtown. It was daunting. I saw Chloe there, surrounded by her entourage, Evelyn, of course, and a few other family members, and Mr. Dubois. Evelyn was fussing with Chloe's dress, whispering last-minute advice. I ducked behind a pillar, my heart doing a little dance of panic. I couldn't let them see me. I had worn a simple, dark outfit, nothing flashy, hoping to blend in. I changed my hair just slightly, pulling it back in a way I usually didn't. When it was my turn, I walked onto the stage, trying to breathe normally. The lights were bright, blinding. The judges were just shadows in the front row. I started my song, another folk tune, raw and emotional. I focused on Betty's words. Sing it like you mean it, Brenna. Sing your truth. And I did. I poured every ounce of that humiliation, that quiet yearning, that newfound defiance into the notes. When I finished, there was a quiet applause, and the judges gave me small smiles. I walked off, heart hammering, and saw Chloe and Evelyn walking out of the theater, looking pleased. They hadn't noticed me. Crisis averted. A week later, another email. Congratulations, Brenna. You've advanced to the semifinals. This time, I actually gasped. The semifinals. This was getting real. I was making progress. I was doing it. The stakes were rising, and with them, the delicious thrill of my secret quest. But also a growing fear. What would happen if Evelyn found out? The thought made me shiver, but then a stronger feeling took over, a stubborn resolve. I wasn't just doing this to get back at her anymore. I was doing it for me. This was my song, my stage, my dream. And I wasn't going to let anyone, not even Evelyn, take that away. Making it to the semifinals felt like a huge leap, both exhilarating and terrifying. Evelyn, of course, announced at Sunday dinner that Chloe was definitely going to the semifinals, just as I received my own official notification. I had to bite my tongue to stop myself from saying, me too. It was like living in a spy movie, constantly hiding my true mission. Leo noticed I was spending a lot more time at yoga and book club, but he just seemed happy I was pursuing hobbies. You seem really energized lately, honey, he'd said one morning, giving me a kiss before work. It's good to see. His unwitting support, even for my made-up activities, fueled me. Then came the crisis. A bad cold hit me hard, just a week before the semi-final performance. My throat was scratchy, my nose was runny, and my voice sounded like a frog. I panicked. I called Betty in tears. I can't sing, Betty. My voice is gone. Now, hold on, Brenna. Don't you dare give up. Betty's voice was firm, but gentle. This happens. We work through it. Get yourself some hot tea, honey, lemon, zinc. Rest that voice. And for tomorrow's session, we're just gonna talk about your song, the story. We're gonna feel it, even if you can't sing it full out. You understand? This is about more than just your vocal cords. Her words grounded me. I spent the next few days taking care of myself, and when I went to Betty's, we didn't sing. We talked about the emotion of the song, the message, the connection. By the day of the semifinals, my voice was still a bit rough, but it was there. I chose a song that was less about power and more about vulnerability, letting my slightly raspy voice add to the emotional impact. The semifinals venue was bigger, fancier. I saw Evelyn and Chloe almost immediately, Chloe looking regal in a shimmering blue gown. Evelyn was beaming, already chatting loudly with other attendees. I slipped in, found my seat in the waiting area, and kept my head down. When my name was called, I walked out, trying to project confidence. The lights felt even hotter this time. My heart hammered against my ribs. I closed my eyes for a second, took a deep breath, and began to sing. I focused on every word, every note, every feeling. I didn't hold back. When I opened my eyes, I saw a few people in the audience wiping their eyes. I finished, the last note hanging in the air, raw and true. The applause was warm. I walked off stage, feeling a profound sense of relief and accomplishment, regardless of the outcome. The next day, the results for the finals were posted online. I clicked the link, my hand trembling. There, under finalists, was Chloe's name. And right below it, mine, Brenna Vance. I stared at it, a laugh bubbling up from deep inside me. I'd done it. A tiny, silent scream of joy escaped me. I was in the finals. The big one. Now, the potential for disaster was immense. Evelyn would definitely be there. The final week was a frenzy of preparation. Betty put me through my paces, refining my main song, a powerful ballad about overcoming adversity. "This is it, Brenna," she'd said, her eyes twinkling. "You go out there and you show them what lesser aspirations can do." The night of the finals was electric. The grand concert hall was packed. I could feel the energy humming in the air. Backstage, the other finalists were a mix of nerves and excitement. I saw Chloe in her final dress, looking absolutely stunning, talking to Mr. Du Bois. Evelyn was nearby, a force of nature in a sequined gown, her face alight with pride. I ducked into a dressing room quickly, changing into my own outfit, a simple, elegant black dress that Betty had helped me pick out, not flashy, but strong. I changed my hair again, pulled it back into a sleek ponytail I never wore, hoping the stage makeup and distance would be enough. My stomach was doing somersaults. I peeked out, saw Leo enter with my parents. He'd never missed one of my made-up yoga sessions before, so I knew he didn't expect me to be here. His presence was a comfort, even if he didn't know the truth. Then I saw Evelyn take her seat, right in the front row, next to Chloe's family. My heart hammered. This was it. The show began. One by one, the finalists performed. Chloe sang last before me, a technically perfect opera aria that earned a standing ovation from a good portion of the audience, Evelyn among them, cheering the loudest. I watched from the wings, a knot of nerves in my stomach. Could I compete with that? Then, my name was called. Next, performing her original composition, unspoken song, "Please Welcome Brenna Vance." Original composition. Betty had encouraged me to write one. It was my story, distilled into music. As I walked out, the lights hit me. I could see the judges, and beyond them, the blurry faces of the crowd. I found Evelyn's seat, saw her, and she was smiling, still basking in Chloe's glory. She didn't recognize me. Not yet. I took my place at the microphone, a deep breath filling my lungs, and began to sing. My voice started soft, a little shaky, telling the story of feeling small, unheard. But as the song built, my voice gained strength, rising with the melody. I sang about finding courage, about owning your truth, about the power of an unspoken song finally bursting free. I poured every ounce of emotion I had, every quiet moment of frustration, every secret practice, every word of Evelyn's criticism, into that performance. By the time I reached the crescendo, my voice soaring, clear and strong, the whole hall was quiet. Then a roar of applause erupted, loud and sustained. People were on their feet. I saw Leo, his mouth open, a look of utter shock and pride on his face. My parents were crying. And Evelyn. Evelyn was frozen. Her smile had vanished, her eyes wide, staring at me. The recognition dawned, slowly, painfully, on her face. Her jaw hung slightly open. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. The judges went deliberate. The tension in the hall was palpable. Then, the host came back on stage, holding an envelope. And the winner of this year's Golden Voice Showcase and recipient of the $100,000 prize is... He paused, building the suspense. Brenna Vance. The hall erupted again. A wave of pure, unadulterated shock and triumph washed over me. I couldn't believe it. Brenna Vance, had won. I walked forward, a radiant smile on my face, as the host handed me the massive, gleaming trophy. As I held it high, the lights glinting off the gold, I looked directly at Evelyn. She was still in her seat, utterly still, her face pale, her eyes fixed on me and the trophy. Chloe, beside her, looked utterly dejected, but Evelyn looked completely broken, truly speechless. The revenge wasn't bitter, not really. It was just sweet vindication. I had proven something, not just to her, but to myself. This wasn't about the money or the fame. It was about my voice. My lesser aspiration. After the awards, it was chaos. Leo rushed the stage, swept me into a hug, whispering, "Brenna, honey, I had no idea. You were amazing. Why didn't you tell me?" My parents joined us, tears and laughter mixed. Through the crowd, I saw Evelyn. She approached, slowly, cautiously, her usual imperious stride gone. Chloe was nowhere to be seen. "Brenna," Evelyn started, her voice barely a whisper, a stark contrast to her usual booming tone. I don't know what to say. I never knew. I just looked at her, the heavy trophy still in my arms. "You never asked, Evelyn," I said, my voice gentle but firm. "You just assumed." She flinched as if I'd struck her. I am sorry," she stammered, looking genuinely lost. "About dinner. About everything," I said. She paused, then added, her voice a little stronger, a hint of her old self returning, "But you are talented, Brenna. Truly." "Thank you, Evelyn," I said, a small, knowing smile on my face. It wasn't the fiery revenge I might have imagined months ago. It was something deeper. It was her finally seeing me, truly seeing me, for the first time. The prize money, $100,000, felt almost secondary. It would change things for sure. We could pay off our mortgage, invest in something real. But the real prize was this moment, this recognition. I had found my voice, and now everyone else had heard it too. My journey from humiliation to triumph had been long and silent, but the melody, finally, had been heard. I used a good portion of the prize money to set up a small scholarship for aspiring local artists, people who loved to sing or paint or write, but didn't have the connections or the initial funding to chase their dreams. I called it the Unspoken Song Scholarship. Evelyn, surprisingly, donated a small amount to it a few months later. Our relationship became different. Strained, yes, but with a new undercurrent of respect, however grudging on her part. Leo was my biggest fan, always encouraging me to sing, finally understanding my passion. And I did keep singing. My lesser aspiration had bloomed into something beautiful and real. This experience taught me that sometimes the greatest revenge isn't about bitterness, but about rising so high that the people who doubted you can't help but see you shine. Never let anyone tell you your dreams are too small. They might just be waiting for their moment to echo. What's an unspoken song you're holding inside, waiting to share with the world?